Always great catching up with Billy Q's got a big fight coming up here. Alex Hernandez, UFC 282, December 10th. Billy, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great, James. Thanks again for having me. Always great chatting with you.
And vice versa. The check's in the mail for that compliment. I appreciate it. But I actually didn't want to talk about you at first. I wanted to talk about your good buddy and teammate, Matt Frivola. How cool was it seeing him get that win last weekend at UFC 281?
Oh man, it was incredible, and to bounce back from the Terrence McKinney fight, the Abu Dhabi, and what a year he's having. I think he should be up for Fighter of the Year. Huge first round knockout in January, and then another first round knockout this past weekend. I couldn't be happier for him. We had a great week in New York. He did everything he had to do, and huge victory, and now he's moving up the rankings, possibly getting a huge matchup down the road. Couldn't be happier for them, and I'm excited to have him in my corner for my December 10th fight.
How much do you feed off that? I know we're a few weeks away from the fight, but that's got to, motivate you as well, just seeing the type of performance he put on in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I always try to, anytime I'm cornering the guys, especially for UFC fights, I always try to envision, while obviously I'm helping him get ready, I'm trying to envision like, oh man, like this is you making that walk, this is you about to fight. So I get that same feeling to do that walk again at Madison Square Garden after my last fight against Burgos there. It was an amazing week, and for him to put that performance on, I couldn't be more motivated to fight next month. We've always been really competitive like that. He'll win a big fight, I'll win a big fight. We'll both kind of go back and forth getting sponsorship deals and stuff like that. It's a very friendly rivalry, and I think it has kind of pushed us further than we would have without having each other there.
Were you ever in talks to be on that card? I figured you would have wanted to fight at Madison Square Garden.
No, I wasn't because, as you know, I got injured. I was supposed to fight in the Long Island card, Battle of the Bills, fell through. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to fight then. And my manager basically said, "Tell me when you're good to go." And I wanted to give myself enough time, so I basically asked for. This was probably in like August, I would say. I told him I would love to get on the UFC Orlando card, which is actually going to be a week before when I'm fighting. I tried to get on the UFC Orlando card, and they said, "What about Alexander Hernandez in Vegas?" And I was just telling John Morgan this. I thought he was texting the wrong guy. I was like, Alexander Hernandez isn't a featherweight, and I could fight in Orlando. Why would I fight in Vegas? But he's like, no. He's actually coming down to featherweight, and they want to put it on the pay-per-view card. And I said yes right away. I knew Hernandez was going to say yes right away, especially since he's coming down to 45. Super game opponent, and I couldn't be more excited to be on this card that I'm on.
Yeah, and it must have been a surprise, like you kind of said there, because he's never fought at featherweight. That was actually going to be one of my questions was, are you worried at all about him making weight? Because it's not like a case of where he fought at featherweight like years ago. He's never fought in that weight class before.
I don't know. I don't like to think of what he's doing. I'm preparing myself for the best version of Alexander Hernandez that's ever fought before. I'm actually preparing myself, for Alex Volkanovski, because that's who I'm chasing. So whether he makes weight, whether he doesn't make weight, if he has a great camp, if he has a shitty camp, I'm going to prepare myself for the best version of him. And whatever happens, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But all I can focus on is what I'm doing with my camp, what I'm, making sure I'm eating right, making sure my weight's good. And I think the rest will play out. He's a professional. I think he's gonna be able to make weight. Whether going into that third round of a dogfight with me, he's gonna be 100%. That'll be seen. But leading up to the fight, I'm just preparing for the best fighter I could prepare for.
And, if he does miss weight, pound or two, you get some extra cash, right? That goes a long way, especially with you being a father and, having responsibilities outside of just punching people in the face. So that's interesting. Obviously, we know Hernandez, really good striker. He's got some serious power. I think people forget that he knocked out Beneil Dariush a few years ago. Just how are you looking at this fight stylistically?
Yeah, he's got some big wins, and like I was saying, he has if you look at his resume, I know obviously wins and losses, he's lost some really big fights, but his resume of guys he fought is one of the best in the UFC. Cowboy Cerrone, Drew Dober, Moicano, who just had a huge win this past weekend. He's fought nothing but killers. So I'm going into this fight prepared to fight that best version who knocked out Dariush and who has that one punch power, that one punch knockout power. I think on paper, he is more explosive than me. He's more athletic than me. And he's a very good finisher in the first round. But when he gets dragged out in those later rounds, into the second and into the third round, that's usually where he gets finished and where he kind of slows down a little bit, which plays perfectly into my usual strategy of dragging guys into deep waters, making them get into that dogfight, and making them dig really deep. And obviously, that's what I intend to do.
Training camp, any cross training at all, or has it been all at home base in Florida as far as your training camp? Because I know Matt obviously trained in New York for his fight.
Yeah, so I was in Long Island training with those guys. And me and Fervolo went out to Vegas for a week, so I got a really good week of training in there. And I'm actually planning on going to Fusion, where there's a bunch of guys that train there: Mike Davis, Phil Rowe, Mike Perry, Julian Williams runs that gym. So I'm planning on going and getting some sparring in there these next 2 weeks, just to get some different looks, get some high level guys. But for the most part, Gracie Tampa South, where I've been at my whole career since 2010. That's where I get that's my bread and butter. That's my home base. I'm doing most of my camp there, but those other looks are always good and important, I think.
You mentioned the weight cut. Obviously, I know when you've been off for a bit due to injury, it's a little bit harder to maintain the weight. How's all that going? We got a number of weeks before the fight, and I know you never miss weight.
Yeah, never miss weight, and I don't want to, because everyone keeps asking, what do you think of Hernandez coming down? What do you think of him having to cut that weight? And that's one reason I don't even want to focus on what he's doing. I'm concerned with myself. Even though I'm not the biggest featherweight, I want to go into this fight with some good size. So, but luckily, since I've been injured this summer, I wasn't able to fight at all this year. This is the longest layoff I've had in my career without any surgeries. So this is a long layoff for me. But luckily, I've been training. I basically had a training camp since this summer, since I came back from that injury. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think I'm in really good shape, and we're getting to that point now in training camp where I'm starting to eat a little bit less, cut a little bit more weight, and get my body ready for that. And right now I'm right on schedule with where I am every single fight.
Steamroller Fervola will be in your corner. Who else is going to be in the cage with you that night?
So my corner is going to be, it's always 3 out of 4 people. So it's going to be my head coach, Matt Arroyo, who's been, long time ago, he was fighting in the UFC and on the Ultimate Fighter. He's the one who owns Gracie Tampa South. He's a jiu-jitsu expert, and he's the head instructor of this whole thing. My striking coach, Crudan Rawlings, I actually just got done working out with him. He's a brilliant Muay Thai striker. Me and him have been breaking down Alexander Hernandez's his strengths, his weaknesses, and all that stuff. And then my third guy will be Matt Fervola, the steamroller. I told him, I'm like, stay in shape after your fight so you could be a good body for me. Sometimes he likes to put on, which we all do. We all like to put on a little bit of size after we fight. And then my brother Jim, he won't be in my corner, but he's flying out there. He really helps me with the weight cut and that whole process. So it's been the same team I've had every single fight. Essentially, I like having that group. I think if things were going wrong, I think I would switch things up. I would reach out to other people. But coming off from that Burgos fight, I knew exactly what I did wrong. That wasn't anyone else's fault but my own, of not checking kicks, not mixing it up more, not going to the body more. Those are some adjustments that I can make, and those are some adjustments that I can use against Hernandez and have more success in this fight.
How do you see this fight playing out on December 10th?
I see myself getting my hand raised, and that's really the most important thing. I think the Burgos fight, I really just wanted to put on a show. It was that first fight that I had in front of a crowd in years, and I just wanted to put on a show in front of people. Especially, I started tagging him early, so I figured I'm gonna take this guy out. Next thing you know, the fight was over, and I lost. This fight, as much as I want to put on a show for people, and I think we will put on a show, just putting us two in the cage together, I think it's going to be a great show. But no matter what happens, I just need to get my hand raised at the end of it. So if I need to try to take him down and grind him out and hold him down, or if I need to stick and move, or obviously I know what my strategy is, but no matter what I need to do, no matter what I do, I just need to get my hand raised. So no matter what happens in that time, whether it's a 1 minute fight, whether it's a 15-minute fight, my hand getting raised December 10th is the only thing that that needs to happen for me.
Hernandez obviously not in the weight class. This will be his first fight at 145, but where does a win put you? Because obviously he is a pretty notable name. It's just he's not in that weight class as a regular, right?
Yeah, so since he was ranked at 155 forever, I'm looking at this fight like it's a ranked matchup, and I think his plan is to come down to 45, take out Billy Q, and then get a ranked opponent. And it's my job. I'm doing this for all the featherweights. I got to stop this guy. We don't need any more contenders at featherweight. I need to go out there and finish him. And then that'll be my next opportunity to get another ranked opponent like Burgos last time. I think getting a win there puts me right in the top 15, gets me a matchup against one of those big names. Before the fight, I need to go and look at that top 15. Maybe I'll get someone to call out. Would love the Nate Landwehr fight because he called me out. Big mistake. I still got him in the back of my mind. But also, for the sake of my career, fighting a top 15 guy, chasing that world championship is always going to be the number one goal.
How's dad life? How's it being a father?
Oh man, it's absolutely incredible. My wife's actually on her way home. I got the baby to myself tonight, so hopefully that goes good. It's been incredible, man, and it's just extra motivation. I thought I was motivated before, just with myself and my wife, and trying to prove people wrong with a chip on my shoulder. And now it's a whole different type of motivation. Waking up every day and seeing that baby and having someone to provide for. It's just a whole different feeling, and you're going to see a whole different fighter with a lot of extra motivation going into this fight.
And how do you work out the sleep schedule? I always ask fellow dads this. For my firstborn, I just basically got up early and then, worked until whatever, like basically did the morning shift with the baby. I didn't have to, I got plenty of sleep. My second son, I was a totally different ball game. I had to get up in the middle of the night just because he was up all the time. So what's the sleep schedule like? I'm always curious about that.
So we've been very lucky. We kind of got him. It started off, she was waking up in the middle of the night, then I was waking up in the middle of the night, and now we got it down pretty good where she'll wake up and breastfeed him usually at like 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and then I'll do the next one, which is usually like 7, 8, 9 a.m. And depending on what my training schedule is like, usually it's been like I'll bottle feed him and then I'll go right to the gym, or some sessions I'll do like a 5 a.m. session or like a 7 a.m. session. I'll go to the gym, come back, and then bottle feed them after. So we've been very lucky. I married the right woman. She was made to be a mom. She's doing an incredible job. And it's obviously a little bit harder than it was before having a baby, but waking up with him and seeing his face, even when he's crying, it's just so adorable. And it's one of those things that I know I have to do. So I've gotten used to it now. And he's getting a lot better at it too. So it's been pretty good.
This is a pretty good fight too. UFC 282, December 10th. Billy, always appreciate the time, man. If there's anyone you'd like to thank, any sponsors, any social media you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thanks to all my fans. Punched Energy, Once Upon a Coconut, OnlyFans. I'm announcing my deal with them today. I'm going to be doing a vlog series with them. Appreciate everyone who supports me, and that's pretty much it, James. Always great chatting with you, and hope to see you in person soon.
One of these days, I'm sure we'll make it out. And just to clarify, the OnlyFans, it's like exclusive content, no nudity, right?
No, no. I'm gonna announce it today, but yeah, it's only training videos. No, nothing weird. I had to explain that to a few people. When I announce it, it's all training stuff. Unless the money's right. No, I'm just kidding. It's just training videos. Nothing, nothing rated X. Just what I've been posting, but it's gonna be exclusively on there.